Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. I'm your host, Sophia. Leah is out sick today, but we have a great interview with two awesome birth stories. Ashley, will you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I am currently almost 4 months postpartum. And I had Leah and Sophia this whole pregnancy, but with my first, um, I did have a hospital birth. So I have two kids. And my first was during COVID, not like the really intense part, but kind of towards the end. So my husband was able to be there.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I have two kids, kind of like two under two, but that's where I'm at right now.
nice. And what do you do for a living?
I am a personal trainer and I'm not back to work yet. Thankfully, I'm still home with my little guy and my daughter, and I'm helping my husband a little bit. He runs a company here, and we live in Marin County, and he runs a business, and it's flooring, carpets, cleaning, all that stuff. And I've just been helping him here and there while I'm home. So it's
Nice.
been fun.
Start at the beginning for you, wherever that is, like when you found out you were pregnant or when you knew you wanted to be a mom. Where does that start for you?
All right. So basically, you know, COVID hit and that whole thing happened. So where we were at that time in our lives, we had already been married like a few years, and I was on birth control and I was very over it. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to do this to my body. I was like realizing kind of just like how terrible birth control is. I also didn't feel great on it. I just didn't love it. So I was like, I really just want to be off birth control. And we were both like, let's just see what happens. Like if we get pregnant, fine, whatever, not a big deal. Um, and if we don't for a little while, that's fine too. Like we were kind of just like go with it kind of.
Like over
Um,
trip and not
but
trying.
yeah, exactly. But then we didn't realize how quickly we were going to get pregnant. So I got pregnant very quickly. And we were at the time living just like in this really nice location that we loved right by the freeway. And it was close for me for work. And it was just like super convenient. But now that we were pregnant, we didn't want to be in that area anymore. It wasn't like that great for like kids. So we moved in with my husband's family,
Mhm.
and we rent like the back part, like a granny unit pretty much on their property. And so now we had relocated it and everything, and it was like perfect for a family. So we were in a good spot, but because it was like in that COVID time and it was a little sketchy, I had a friend that it was her first baby and she was not allowed to have anyone in the hospital. She didn't have her mom, she didn't have her husband, and I was like just so heartbroken for her. And I was like very stressed that that was going to be my situation. And thankfully it wasn't. But I had told my husband, I was like, well, what do you think about just like, let's just try having a home birth?
Mhm.
Like I threw it out there, and he was not into it the first round. So with my daughter, Lila, she's two now.
Fear of something going wrong, or what was his hesitation?
So the year before we had Lila, her his brother, they had their fourth baby. And when they were in the hospital, so it's her fourth baby, she's already had like pretty fast births. And this birth was like 45 minutes. Like it was so quick. So he actually came out so quickly that he swallowed marconium, and then they pumped his belly and whatnot. He didn't breathe for like a hot second. And his dad was like, rubbing his back and like getting him to breathe. And so that kind of freaked him out. And I was very like, listen, if this happens with us here at home, with, let's just say we had you guys then too, you guys would know what to do. Like that wasn't like an emergency. Like you kind of just like pump the belly, do what you need to do. So I didn't feel like super nervous about it, but he did. He's like, I don't know, what if something else could go wrong? What
Mhm.
happened, honey? Okay, well, let me change it for you. Okay, one second.
No worries, we'll pause.
Okay, so basically that was very like nerve-wracking for him. And to me, I was like, it's not really, there wasn't very many things in my mind that could go wrong that would be like, we needed to immediately go to the hospital. I was just very confident. Like I just felt very confident with me giving birth, with the whole situation. It's very natural. And so I wasn't too nervous about it. But for him, it was like, let's not take a chance on our first kid.
Yeah, what would you say gave you that confidence? Did you have like friends having babies, or did like your mom have positive birth stories, or you have no idea?
You know what's funny is I know that my mom didn't have any complications with any of our births, but she has never actually shared her birth stories with me.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Hmm.
I should ask her. But she's never really shared, like she's told us, for example, I know like with almost all, I think all three of us, she drove herself to the hospital, and she, yeah, like in labor, um and got to the hospital, and just did like totally did it on her own, called my dad and was like, hey, like we're gonna have a baby, and just took herself there. And I feel like because she kind of like just nonchalantly told me those stories and was like, oh yeah, I drove myself to the hospital, it wasn't a big deal. She
Yeah.
never like really went in depth with like the birth stories themselves, but that type of like the way that she explained it was just so like, oh, like it wasn't a big deal. Like I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can do this then.
Great. Love it.
I also prepared with books. I read Ina May's book. I read Birth Without Fear. I read that nutrition book by, oh my gosh, I forget her name.
Is it Lily Nichols?
Yeah, that one. Oh my gosh, I loved that book. So those are like my three main books, and I read those books, and then I read the Ina May book, and I was just like, I like when I basically I just thought to myself, like, women do this every single day. Like literally around the entire world, there's someone giving birth every single day. And I was like, if I'm a healthy young person, like very active, I just like I knew I could do this. And if something did come up and we needed to go to the hospital, we're not far away. So I just wasn't nervous about it. I just had that I was very confident that we were gonna be like, you're gonna be okay. And then my mom told me her stories, and she drove herself to the hospital. So I was like, all right, well,
You're like, if you could drive yourself, I'll be fine.
yeah. So yeah, I was very confident in that. And so I we didn't end up having a home birth the first time around. We did go to the hospital. I was let's see, I was at home, and I started feeling like I was going into labor. And it was funny because that night I wanted ice cream. And so my husband was out getting ice cream for us. And I texted him and I was like, I think it's going to happen tonight. I was like, you probably should get back home soon. So my sister-in-laws told me to just stay home as long as possible, because if I go too early, they're going to send me back. Or if I go to hospital and, they want to keep me longer, then I got to get like, all whatever it's called, got to get IVs and all that stuff. You got to get hooked up. And I was like, I want to be at home and comfortable. So they said that my sister-in-laws literally both said, sit on the toilet. They're like, stay on the toilet. It's super comfortable. Stay at home as long as you can. And so
good advice.
yeah. And I totally took that advice to heart and stayed home and sat on the toilet. And it was the best thing I did. And we had to go to Kaiser in San Francisco. So it was, I want to say like, I think my husband will tell you he made it in like how long did it take you, Mike? Like 32 minutes or something like that. So we drove to the hospital, and the only reason, this is funny, the only reason that we actually got to the hospital is because my husband forced me to leave. I was like totally fine on the toilet.
I was gonna say, what made you decide it was time to go? Yeah.
So, and it's my first, and it's just me and him. So like, we're like, we don't really know. Let me tell you, I called multiple times. We called at least 4 times, I want to say, and let Kaiser know what the situation was, how far away, or how like the contractions are going. We were like very detailed and gave them everything. But because it was my first, I was getting like oh, you have time. Like, don't worry about it. Stay home. You have time. And I was going to stay home anyways, because I was like, I want to do this at home as comfortable as I can. But they're like, you have time. You have time. My entire labor in itself, like all the way till we had the baby, it was only 8 hours. And so I don't think they expected that as my first time baby, like first time giving birth. So they just kept pushing me off. So we were just staying home. But my husband was like, this is not okay. He said that I transitioned on the toilet and I didn't even know it. Like I just didn't realize it. I just was like going. And so I transitioned on the toilet and he's like, the sound that you made, I was not comfortable with. And the sounds that you were making and how it was going, I needed to take you to the hospital because I was not ready. I was not prepared for this. So he, at that point, basically when I transitioned was like, you need to get up and we need to go to the hospital. I'm not prepared to be the one to like birth this baby. So he actually forced me to go. And I was totally like, I transitioned, I was pushing in the car, but we made it to the hospital, got into the room, and I was probably only there at the hospital, I want to say for like, I don't even know, maybe an hour. What time did we get there? No, like 2 hours. I was probably there for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And then she was born. And it was awesome because there was nothing anyone could do because I was already pushing.
Yeah. I got there and you were pushing.
I got there and I was pushing. I got there and I was already 10 centimeters dilated. So I was like, it was go time. And so they couldn't do anything, you know, like the first question I remember being asked was you don't want an epidural, right? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And then I heard them say, oh, good, because you're way too far anyways. And I'm like, great, because I don't need it. And then what else happened? There was another thing. It's not working. Okay, hold on one second. What is it? GBS positive?
Yep, group B.
Yeah. So I was GBS positive with Lila. And when we got to the hospital, because I was already pushing and you know, it was like I was having her already. So there was actually no time to give me like antibiotics or anything. And I was so grateful for that because I really didn't want them anyways.
Surprised if they knew that when you were in labor, they didn't have you come in sooner just to give you those.
I know. Crazy, right?
Right.
So that's also what I thought. I was like, man, I'm surprised they really didn't ask me to come in. Like, just tell me, you know, just come in early so they can, you know, hook me up and everything. But thank goodness they didn't because I did not want go down that route. And when I got there, I remember them seeing it in my chart. And I slightly remember them, I think, trying to like hook me up and give me like an IV of antibiotics and whatever. But it was like, I mean, she was already like coming out, like it was just not going to happen. So that was awesome. And then the other thing that we laugh about now, but my husband was actually irritated about, Mikey will tell you, so he had to go, so we're in San Francisco. So he had to go like park the car in a garage and then like run over, you know, and come in and like find me and everything. And I was already pushing. So he was like worried he was going to miss her coming out and like all that stuff. So, when he finally got to our room, a nurse, I believe, or maybe the doctor, someone told him they said, why did you wait so long to bring her in? And he was so mad.
Yeah.
Because he was like, are you kidding? He's like, we called you so many times. I wanted to come in earlier than this. And they greeted him with that. So he was like super irritated about that. And you know, and everything ended up being fine. But I remember him talking to me about it after we had Lila and the nurses were all gone. They gave us like a moment and whatever. And he's like, I can't believe that they would tell me that when that was not my choice. They kept pushing us off. So that was his experience.
It can never be their fault, right?
Right, exactly. So I was super grateful that we only were there, thankfully, pushing and transition. That whole thing just happened only for 2 hours. And then once we had her, it was like early, like that had gone on through the night because it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday night that I went into labor around like maybe I want to say like 8 or 9 p.m. And then we had her like at 4:55, like early in the morning. So we were just exhausted and we just wanted to rest. And I like asked the nurses, I was like, how soon can I get out of here? Like, I want to get out. I want to go home. And so they like tried to get everything going for me. And I got up and like went pee and did that, all that stuff. Lila was good. Like everything was great with her. She looked awesome. So we just wanted to like rest and stuff and come back home. So I actually was able to get out. I think they wanted you to stay like 48 hours, but it was also like COVID. So they were okay with us leaving earlier. I think they just wanted to get people out of the hospital, you know? So they were okay with us leaving a little earlier. So thankfully I didn't have to stay like a whole 48 hours. We got out before then and then we were home. And once we got home, everything was, you know, I was like recovering and stuff. It's so crazy, like your first kid and your second kid, the way it compares, because I feel like I was like out for like 2 weeks with Lila. Like I was sore and tired and shaky and all that stuff. And then, you know, once I had Bodhi here at home, it was that he's my second. And I was like 2 days, I felt
better.
like, it's just weird. It's so crazy. Your body just like knows what to do. But yeah, with Bodhi, it was like 2 days. And with Lila, it was a lot longer. And Mikey was like taking care of me and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are you hungry? Okay.
The first baby, you're like, stops your world, huh? You're like, whoa, what is happening?
Totally. It was like, it's just a little bit of like a shocker. Everything's a shock. You know, it's like you go from none to one and everything's a shocker. You have a kid you just brought home. You know, your body just went through that whole thing. And so to be honest, her birth was so nice because I was at home for so long and I was on the toilet and just it was so comfortable. And by the time I got to the hospital, like you know, they want you to go on your back and everything. And so I was just already like pushing. So I kind of went like sideways. Like I was laying back, but I was like sideways and like on one side, on my left side, I was on my left hip and they wanted me to like straighten out. And I was like, I didn't even listen. I just like tuned it out because I just was pushing, you know? So that never happened. I never straightened out for them. But that was like a comfortable position and everything was just like so smooth and nice. And because it was 8 hours, I feel like it was just like I got breaks, I got to breathe. And even though like the pushing part of it, I think I like pushed for 2 hours. Even that part was just it was just nice. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. It didn't feel difficult, didn't feel hard. It just felt, to be honest, it actually felt good. Like I was like pushing and we were like, she was coming out, was making progress. The best thing they did for me was give me a mirror. They gave me a giant mirror and I could see her, like the progress I was making. And then I remember being like, okay, are we almost done? And then I like looked down and saw her like through the mirror and it was like just like her legs needed to like come out or something and they told me that they're like you're so close, you just need like one more push, and that just helped so much. So it was like I was so grateful. It was super smooth and just like it felt good. It's weird, but it felt good.
There's a lot of first-time moms who are listening to this and are like, yes, may that be my story.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
But with Bodhi, it's very different.
Yeah. How was like anything about your placenta that you remember it came out pretty smooth, or anything you want to mention about like your breastfeeding journey?
You know what? The doctor, without even telling me, just started slowly taking my placenta out. Like so with both births, my the umbilical cord was very short. I don't know why, but they were both short. So when they took out both babies, I couldn't fully grab them, you know, like all the way up at like the top of my chest. It was like they were on my belly.
Yeah.
So I just had a short the umbilical cord was just short. So like he was actually slowly pulling out my placenta so that I can pull the baby higher, but I didn't even know he was doing it. He didn't even tell me. And then all of a sudden I realized my placenta was coming. I was like, oh, cool. So that's how that works, I guess. And I didn't know any different. So he just did it. And then I'm super grateful, but both babies literally came out the womb and just latched on to my nipple. Like so easy. They both just it was honestly great. It just worked out. I'm grateful that it worked out that way, but they both just like found my boob and attached and started nursing, and it was a smooth journey from there on.
Yeah. So then at what point did you guys decide or to get pregnant again?
Okay, so with Bodhi, he no, he was surprised too. So what did I do? I feel like, oh, I was tracking. I was totally tracking, and I guess I just suck at tracking, and I got pregnant, and we were just like, all right, well, this happened. Here we go. Um, I I knew that. So once we found out we were pregnant and everything, they told me I was like due like in April, and so I knew they were going to be like exactly 2 years apart because Lila's April 2nd and Bodhi is April 24th, so they're going to be 2 years apart. And I wanted to wait for like 3 years because Lila was not done nursing yet. I actually breastfed through my entire pregnancy. And I'm still currently breastfeeding both of them. So Lila's 2 and 3 months, and Bodhi is, or yeah, they're both. Bodhi's almost 4 months, so Lila's about to be 2 and 4 months. And I'm still breastfeeding both of them. Lila doesn't breastfeed as much during the day because I have to tell her no, um, or distract her,
Yeah.
But like nap time and bedtime, and then her waking up in the morning is like she's nursing with Bodhi. So yeah, so I mean, it just happened and it was fine. I wanted to wait another year to maybe have her in a little better of a place, like with me, like as far as like sharing me and me having more time with her. But it's worked out. It's been okay. She loves him, like loves him. The only thing is the breastfeeding too has been nuts. I am just ravenous, like 24/7. Breastfeeding, huh?
That's a lot to take on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's exhausting. And breastfeeding through pregnancy is totally painful. And it's wild because I didn't even have milk anymore. It was definitely colostrum, and she still wanted it. And I had heard so many of my friends that had gotten pregnant and were still like, they were still breastfeeding. They're pregnant, and then their milk dried out. They went to colostrum, and their babies were like, what is this? I don't want that. Like they just stopped. And I'm like, oh, like maybe that will just naturally happen with Lila. No, that girl is addicted.
Just after the comfort too, and yeah, something like that.
So she just kept going and is still going. And she was okay with it being colostrum.
Yeah.
So that was, yeah. So I breastfed the whole pregnancy, and then obviously my milk came in and whatever, and I'm still going with that. And she had a pretty bad like regression with sleep, and is still going now. Like she started waking up like a newborn to nurse throughout the night. I know. And I was like, what is going on with this kid? So like, it's like, she wakes up, I want to say like every 2 hours, and still wakes up every 2 hours to nurse. And I'm like, girlfriend, what are you doing? Like, you don't need this at nighttime. Like, go to sleep. But she can't. She's like fully just latched onto me and attached. So either way, we're trying to make it work. We're tired, but we're trying to like, not totally cut her off. And like, she gets very emotional about it. So I just feel like she's just not ready.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're trying to make that work. And then let's see. So yeah, what was that?
I was gonna say, how was your pregnancy, and at what point did you guys decide that you were gonna go for home birth?
Okay, so yeah, so we got pregnant. Now for this pregnancy, I carried a lot lower. So Lila was really high. Are you leaving? It's okay. He can stay. Lila, I can hold him. Lila was very high. He was a lot lower. Chasing around a toddler and being pregnant is very different, very hard. Towards the end, like it was okay, and like while we were, the beginning and stuff, wasn't that bad. Oh, honey, he's hungry. It was, I want to say, being pregnant in the beginning. I know. I'm sorry. Being pregnant in the beginning, it was fine. Like I had like a pretty smooth pregnancy. but as I got bigger, obviously it was harder. I carried a lot lower with him, and so it was just funny towards the end. Like or even in like the middle of my pregnancy, it just felt harder, keeping up with Lila and carrying lower. Um, but with this pregnancy, basically I told Mikey, I was like, listen, we were like home basically with like I could have had her on the toilet. And so because of that, and because he saw like how it went, and he like like, you know, everything went smooth, he had more confidence in like a home birth. So I asked him in like the beginning, the first, I want to say like it was like, you know, to the first 2-3 months or whatever, I was like, can we try to like make this work? And, you know, do you feel confident to have a home birth? And he was like, well, if you're confident, I guess I'm confident too. Like, you know, we basically once had her on the toilet, and it was, we talked about it, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's when we were like calling around and interviewing, and then we interviewed with you guys, and it just so happened that Leah literally lives like down the street from us, which I thought was perfect and so cool, because that also gave him some confidence, because she could just walk on over in about 5 minutes.
Right.
And so yeah, then we found you guys, and we were like, all right, we're definitely gonna do this. We felt good about it. And then let's see. Oh, okay. And then I want to say we told one of my really good friends also used you guys, and she's just said so many good things. So from that too, like once I interviewed with you guys, I was already confident in working with you guys, but then interviewing with you guys and Mikey talking to you guys, it worked out well. You guys, Leah was super close. So from there, we told our family and some friends, and I didn't really like feel the need to be like, hey, we're gonna have a home birth and like put it out there, you know, just because I didn't really feel like getting any feedback from it. Yeah. And so we told some
everyone's opinions on it.
Yeah, I didn't need it. So we told some family, and then we told just a couple friends, but thankfully like the friends I did share it with, I just knew would be very positive about it. And then the family we did share with, of course, they as well were like pretty positive. There was a few questions and like, are you sure? And there was a few like, more so there was like some family that was like, what does that even look like? Like, what's going to happen? So it was actually kind of cool to like share with them, you know, and kind of just like show them like how it's like, you know, you guys are so qualified. You guys have done this with so many people. Like home birth is very natural, very normal. It was totally the norm before people started getting hospital births. Like it was actually fun to educate them. So that was a good experience as far as like starting off with, you know, telling everyone we're having home birth. Mm-hmm. I also was very like, it didn't happen, but I was very into having the idea of like Mikey being there, my husband, like my daughter being there. I thought it was going to be so cool. You know, like the dog is fine in the house there. Like, I don't know. It was just like, you're comfortable, you're home. Like I thought it was going to be everything about it. I was just super into it. I loved the idea.
Like a family birth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought it was so like cool and magical. But Lila didn't end up being there. So you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah, go for it.
So this was the craziest birth. It was so stinking fast. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. It just like hit me like a whirlwind, dude. And I think we knew that was going to happen. I remember telling you guys that Lila had, you know, it was relatively fast for her first birth. And I remember you guys saying like, you know, once you start having signs of going into labor, like definitely just tell us very quickly, because it will probably go fast. And I was like, all right, it'll go fast. But, you know, with Lila, it was 8 hours. I was like, what's it going to be, like 5 hours, or I don't know, something like that, you know? I didn't think it was going to be that fast. So it ended up happening where I think I texted Leah, because with Lila, I think because I was on the toilet so long, I had no idea when my water broke. Mm-hmm. I knew when I had the bloody show, and that's right after that I transitioned, but I didn't know like if my water broke or anything. Like I never felt that. So With this one, I felt like maybe I peed a little bit. Like it wasn't like a water breaking, like a big water breaking. It was like a little bit. And I was like, I wonder what that is. So I texted Leah that. And then after that, I didn't have a bloody show like Lila, where I was like, oh yeah, like something is happening. I just had like I remember it being like just a little bit of pink. And I told Leah that too. And she goes, well, that's enough for me. And what was funny was, and we're thinking, and Mikey is excited that Leah lives 2 minutes away, but it ended up that everyone was at a birth meeting like an hour away, like the entire team.
We were all together and she's like, I gotta go.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, because she told me that she was like, oh, like she's like, I just want you to know I'm in Petaluma, like an hour away from where I live. Oh, I know, buddy. And and I was like, oh, okay, no worries. And let me tell you, I did not tell Mikey. I did not want him to know. I just said, hey, she knows she's on her way. She said to get the pool ready, and she like gave us steps, and so I just gave him direction, and I did not tell him that you guys were all at a birth meeting. And then we were getting everything ready, and she hadn't come yet, and he was like, what is happening? She lives 2 seconds away, like how could she not be here yet? And that's when I told him that he was in Petaluma, but by then she was already very close, thankfully, so he didn't like freak out.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Have to
worry for an hour.
Hey, it's okay, buddy. What did you say?
He didn't have to worry for like a whole hour.
Exactly. I didn't need him to be stressed,
Yeah.
So that was funny. I was fine with it. I wasn't worried. But I want to say that was like at 7:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. No, was it? I think she got here at 7:30. I believe she got here at 7:30. So maybe we told her like I feel like it just all happened so stinking fast, because it was really only like an hour, of like actually getting down to my pool and sitting in there, and then pushing, and then her coming and being there. And then Bodhi was out. Yeah. Like it was totally crazy. When I texted her and all that,
you had about like a 3-hour labor, and that she was there for about a half hour before he was born.
Yeah. So it was wild, because I just thought I had so much more time. And when everything like first started, I was just like, all right, I wanted to sit and be comfortable. I wanted to get the ball. The pool was getting filled up. And thankfully my sister was here, so she was actually helping Mike. But while all that was happening, I was like, okay, I have time. But then it's like I had to text Leah, because I was like, I think I transitioned. I'm pushing. And I made it downstairs, thankfully, and Mikey texted her, I think. And I think he was the one that let her know, like, or asked her like how far she was or something. And by then she was like, like pulling up or something like that. But I was already in the pool. I had already been pushing. And with Bodhi, when I started pushing, and just because everything started happening so fast, when I started pushing, it was like contraction after contraction, like just go. It was not like breathe and take a break. It was not like calm. It was just like, no, this is happening. And actually, I forgot to tell you, 2 weeks prior to giving birth, for those 2 weeks, I had already felt like every night I was going to go into labor. It was wild. Like it was like every night I would kind of like start to have contractions, and then they would go away. And I felt like I was going to have the baby. I'm like, it was like a false alarm every night, and it was getting very frustrating. I was like, Bodhi, stop playing with me. Like he was literally messing around with me. But for 2 weeks that was happening. So I remember you guys telling me that my body was like preparing and like prepping. And then I had my friend's a doula, and she came to take pictures. You guys know her, but she came to take pictures. And I had talked to her before. I just told her, I was like, hey, just so you know, like basically every night I feel like I'm gonna go into labor, and this is whatever, like I haven't, nothing's happened yet. But she was like, oh man, she goes, just, she's the one who told me, she goes, just be ready because it sounds like your body's preparing and you're gonna have a fast labor. And I'm like, all right, well, mentally preparing, I'm gonna have a very fast, very fast labor. So once I was like, once and you guys were all right, like once I was like pushing, it was just like go 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 go, no breaks, like barely enough time to like breathe in between. And it was like he just came in like just a force to reckon with. Like it was like very strong, it was, I would say everything was just intense from the beginning to the end. Everything was just intense. And finally he came out, and he was definitely, I want to say, a little broader than Lila. He's got shoulders on him. Like he came out, and there, I want to say it was that 30 minutes, that last 30 minutes, Leah showed up. And I was like, Leah, I was like, I don't think it's happening, man. I was like, yeah, he's not coming. Like, it's not gonna work. And when I said that, he was already like crowning, like his head was already like almost out, and I just had to get his head and his shoulders out, and then it was fine. But the head and the shoulders, I was just like, I was not ready. And she was like, no, like he's like almost here, like you can do this. So thankfully she got there in that last 30 minutes, because that last 30 minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it. I can't get him out. I'm not gonna do it. And she helped so much. So she helped me, get through those last few pushes, and then we got him out, and then we were in the pool. We got out of the pool onto the couch. Lila, my daughter, was not there, so she went to grandma's house because my husband was like, it was a little too like loud. He's like, it was much more intense and loud this time. So he's like, I just didn't want her to like get nervous or scared or anything. And it was already her bedtime. Like she needed to go to sleep. So we live in the backyard. So she took 2 steps down to my in-laws' house. And once we had Bodhi, it was like laying on the couch with him. They brought her up, and it was so great. Everything was just so, after he was here and I got out and I was laying on the couch with him, and then Lila came in and my husband, we're all together. It was like perfect. That's like exactly what I had envisioned.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. He's a little chunk right now. I haven't seen him in a while.
I know. He's huge, dude. Yeah. And it was, again, I'm like super grateful because he also just like latched on so quickly. Like it just, say hi. He he latched on and was breastfeeding, and it was I'm grateful that both kids, like, it was smooth, because I know lots of stories where it was not smooth. So he latched on, and it was very smooth as far as like him breastfeeding. And then with this pregnancy, I was more like sick, not like morning sickness sick, but like immunity. Like I would get like colds and stuff way more often. Like I feel like all the time. And it could be also because a toddler, they're running around touching everything and they get you sick. So I was like, I was always sick. I always had a cold. I always had something. And then after I gave birth, I was very like anemic. So I was just like very, very lethargic right afterwards. And
yeah, gave you
Leah ended up,
right?
I was going to say, Leah ended up giving me an IV. And gave me fluids, and that was great. That helped a lot. And then I was just like super lightheaded and just couldn't really get up and do stuff. So at that point, they just were like, you rest, like, just chill, and, don't go up those stairs. Cause I was downstairs. They're like, do not go up those stairs. Okay. I'll see you later. And I just hung out downstairs, and, thankfully, again, my sister was here. So she helped and brought food and all that stuff. But yeah, she gave me an IV, and I was just like, I was very, very tired and just dizzy and stuff. So I didn't move for like a couple days, or like really get up. And then after that, I made sure I had like all my supplements. So like, I got my placenta, you guys encapsulated my placenta. So thankfully, once I got that, I had my beef liver. I was taking that and a few more things to help, like, just get me to not be anemic anymore. And now, almost 4 months later, I feel way better. The first 2 months were tough. And then, like, energy wise, like I was telling you before, like it took 2 days for me really to feel like my it was crazy. Like it just felt like my body didn't really hurt afterwards. It was such an intense like labor and everything. I thought I was gonna be way more sore because it was so intense, but I really wasn't. Like it was, I felt really great as far as like my body and wanting to get up and wanting to do stuff 2 or 3 days later. But then I was just so anemic and I got dizzy too easy. So the whoa the liver and my the beef liver and then my placenta helped a lot. So now I'm doing way better with that, and it's been very, very smooth. And he's massive, so he's very healthy.
I know the one thing I wanted to remember to touch on to get an update from you is like food sensitivities, because I know that was something that we were kind of like talking about. And yeah, so like what were any of his symptoms during breastfeeding, and like what unfolded with all that?
Okay, so breastfeeding with Lila, super smooth. I could eat anything I ever wanted. Like everything went great. And she was not colicky, like, like normal, like maybe sometimes, but very normal. She didn't have any issues. Then I'm breastfeeding this kid. He latched on perfect. It was great. But we started to notice he was like angry. Like he was uncomfortable. Like it was hard for him to like go to the bathroom. Like he was just like, he would like tense up, like tense up and get like red. And I was like, okay, this is not normal. Like, why is he so upset? And it was, we had noticed he wasn't like pooping regularly. So then like at that point, I'm like, all right, so something's up with this kid. So all of us were troubleshooting, you guys, had me give him, I had already had gripe water. So I was trying that. And then I got one of those Wendy's. I had like a little package of Wendy's, and I like to help him poop. That relieved him a little bit. But he just wasn't getting relief. Like he wasn't able to poop on his own. So ultimately, like you guys were like, okay, well, you got to check out your diet, like what's going on. So the first thing we did was cut out dairy. And you guys were like, if dairy doesn't work, then there's other things, we could continue to go. So, it's just like elimination. You just start eliminating things. Um, so we cut out dairy first thing, and it took a little while to notice anything, but I want to say after a week I was like, oh, he's doing a lot better as far as like his like tensing up. Like he was no longer like getting super tense and his face was like turning red. That wasn't happening anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so much more calm. So we cut out dairy and he calmed down like way more. And then by the second week, he was like pooping regularly, like totally fine, pooping, way more calm. He was just so much happier. So it ended up being dairy. I had to cut out dairy. And when you and I talked, I had told you that I thought I cut out dairy, and then I really didn't cut out dairy because I didn't realize how much stuff it was in. So for me, I was having a protein shake every day, and it was and I've told you, I'm nursing 2 kids, so I'm like hungry.
Yeah.
So I was using like whole milk because I just needed sustenance. Like I was like, I need this protein shake to be as much calories as possible because I'm starving. So I was using whole milk. So I started just using water, and I was using coconut like yogurt to thicken it up a little bit. And once okay, so I cut that out, my milk. Oh, and then cheese. I was making eggs with cheese in the morning. So those are the 2 things I cut out, and I was like, oh, I'm good. I cut out dairy. And I realized I was having it in like so many other things, and I totally did not give up ice cream yet. So I was having ice cream.
Like, wait, butter?
And
Oh,
yeah,
butter. It's like it's hard because you just like don't even think about it. You just go about your routine, and yeah.
totally.
Mhm.
I was not used to cutting out such a giant food group. Like it's in so many things. And yeah, I was cooking my eggs and butter. And so I just didn't realize all of those things. And then when you came over, you pointed it out, like this is all the things. So after that conversation, when I cut out butter, I cut out ice cream and all my other stuff, that's when finally that first week I was like, oh, he's so much more calm. The second week he was pooping regularly. And then after that, like the third and fourth week, he was like doing great.
It
So
sounds
it was
like
dairy.
an answer, right? Because dairy is so delicious, and it's great to like
It's the
have an answer.
I really I really didn't want it to be true because I wanted to eat cheese and everything, but it was true.
So are you still dairy free?
Okay, so this is wild. I started started doing some research and started just looking up a bunch of different stuff to figure out what could also just support him and me and help his belly because even though he was like pooping regularly and stuff, it was still occasionally like we stopped using the Windy altogether, so it wasn't we were not assisting him, but he still was like occasionally just having like little like bouts of like discomfort, you know? So I started doing a bunch of research and I found USP grade aspirin in powder form, and you put it in water and you drink it in water. So it's not like a pill or anything, it's powder. You put it in water and then you drink it with I'm drinking like a drops of vitamin K2 because aspirin kicked in your blood, so vitamin K2 to help with that. But because of the type of aspirin it is and drinking it in water and letting it sit in water, what it does to it, and I forget the exact word. I should have gotten this word down before I told you. Because I want to share that with you. So basically, because the type it is and what it does being in water, it actually helps relieve colic when you're breastfeeding your baby. So I started taking that like I want to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. And it has worked so well. He is like
You can
not
message it to me and I'll put it in the show notes for people to look at.
okay, I will. And I'll explain. I wish I could explain to you what it does, but I can show you the explanations. Because of, and obviously, like you need to like consult a doctor and everything. Like make sure you check that it's okay for you if you're going to do it. But it helps relieve colic in babies. And then my daughter, for some reason, she was getting eczema really bad. And I don't know why she was getting eczema. It could have been from the dairy in my breast milk. But I stopped dairy. So we had noticed it was kind of getting better. But then once I started taking the aspirin, his colic was like so good, like gone basically. He has been doing great. And then her eczema is like gone. It is crazy. So I was super grateful that I found that because now I feel like everything's just going a lot smoother with him. Like his belly is not as upset. And let me tell you, he was having some like like his gas was like an adult man, like
Yeah.
stinky. And I was like, what is going on with your insides, kid?
Yeah. And so does taking this aspirin just like relieve the extra, or does it make it so you are able to have dairy again without him having reactions? Are you still dairy free?
So now I can actually just eat like a regular person. Like I'm not going hard on the dairy by any means, but I'm like enjoying cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can not worry about having ice cream. And especially on these hot summer months, like that's what my daughter wants. So we go down, walk down and get some ice cream. And it's like I get my sad little sorbet, but now I can have ice cream with her and it's his colic, he's not like upset anymore. Like I drink it every day. You only do um it's 80, is it milligrams, 80 milligrams a day. So the little scoop in there is just exactly what you need for the day. And you do it just once a day and you're good. And now I can have, I'm still not doing my protein shake with whole milk, but now I can have ice cream and cheese and not be like super nervous that this poor kid's going to suffer because it was sad before. Like his whole face turning red and him getting so like being in so much discomfort just sucked. So now he's like, everything's running super smooth. And with her, it's helped her eczema. So
Well,
I'm
yeah.
just going to keep going with it.
Any resources you have on that, send to me and I'll put in the show notes because it's great to have another option for families. Because, yeah, like you were saying, when you're breastfeeding, you need so many more calories. And so it's hard to like eliminate a whole food group, but when the babies are so
Totally.
sad, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard balance because, you also need to make sure you're eating enough to produce the milk for this little guy, but you also don't want to make him be so, like you don't want him to be in so much discomfort because it's terrible to go through.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that update. That's a happy update.
Yeah.
Oh, well, great. Is there any like contact information you want to leave in case people want to get a hold of you?
I am on Instagram as Coach Ashley S. And My name is spelled Ashley, but that's where you can find me on Instagram. And I'm pretty good at like getting back to messages and everything. I show the babies on there for the most part. And yeah, that would be awesome. I love connecting with other moms and finding, even for me, just finding other moms that can tell me how to wean a 2-year-old without totally traumatizing them. That would be great.
We're putting out a call for help.
Yeah, thank you.
Well,
It's so nice chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your 2 stories. And you were destined for home birth because you birth very quickly. It's just much better to have somebody worry about getting to you than you getting somewhere else.
Totally. I told my husband, I was like, you think we're going to make it to a hospital this time? There's no chance.
Well, thank you again. Bye, Bodhi.
Thank you. So good to say bye, Bodhi. Good to see you.